Good morning, Richland Rams. Okay, today what we are doing is we are going to use reasonableness with multiplication. So your standard is 6.3b, Determine with and without computation whether a quantity is increased or decreased when multiplied by a fraction, including values greater than 1 or less than 1. So what this means is we are going to multiply fractions that are greater or less than 1 and determine without solving them whether the answer is going to be greater than 1 whole or less than 1 whole. And we will apply this in our activities in our classroom. So that way we'll be able to understand this a little bit more. So in our notes, we have 2/5 times 5/9. So as we are looking at these numbers, we need to just determine, well, is 2/5 and 5/9 less than 1 whole? Yes, they are, because they are both proper fractions. Remember, a proper fraction is when the numerator is less than the denominator. So that means that the fractions are less than 1 whole. So this means that your answer when multiplying two numbers that are both less than 1 whole, the answer is smaller than both. Okay, let's go over here to the left and answer this question real quick while we're working with number 1. So what does it mean to have a part of a part? So this means that if I had 1/2 of 3/4, or if your brother had 1/2 a pan of brownies and you came and took 3/4 of his half a pan of brownies, that means that you're going to have, you'll have less than a half, and you'll have less than 3/4. So your pieces get smaller. So that means that your pieces are going to get smaller. All right, good job, Richland Rams. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next one. When multiplying two numbers that are both greater than 1 whole, what happens to our answers? Okay, as we're looking at 5 and 7/8 and 1 and 1/4, those are both greater than 1 whole. So 5 and 7/8 is greater than 5, and 1 and 1/4 is greater than 1. So they're both greater than the wholes. So the answer is larger than both of them. And I'll explain this more on the next page of our notes. All right, good job, Richland Rams. Okay, the last one on this page. We have 3/4 times 2 and 1/8. So when multiplying one number less than 1 whole and one number greater than 1 whole, this means that your answer is between them. Okay, so remember, we're going to apply this in class. Okay, let's go to our second page of notes. Okay, so here we are with the second page, and I'm going to go into a little bit more depth of the reasonableness with multiplication. Okay, this says, when I multiply by something larger than 1, what happens to my answer? Okay, so right here we have 5 times 1. So remember, when you multiply a number by 1, when you multiply any number by 1, you get that same number back. So if I'm multiplying a number larger than 1, say it's 5 times 2, 5 times 3, that means that my answer is going to be larger than 5. So if I have even 5 times 1.5, that number is going to be larger than 5. So your answer is larger than 5. Oops, excuse me, let me put that down. Is larger than 5. All right, good job. And if you need to, even draw a number line to help you. So like here, if I had a number line, and say I have 5, and then I have 6, if I'm going to multiply by 1, I'll be back at the 5. And then say I'm going to multiply 5 times 1 1/4. That will give me my 5 over 1 times 5 over 4. So when I change it back, I will have 6 times 4. That gives me 24. And then I have 6 1/4. So that means that my answer is larger than 5, because I would end up about right here. So see how that works out? So I just wanted to give you an example real quick and show you a visual. Okay, now when I multiply by something smaller than 1, what happens to my answer? So if I'm going to multiply 5 by something smaller than 1, there's my number line again. So if I do 5 times just 1/4, what's going to happen? Good job. The answer is less than 5. Good job, Richland Rams. Okay, let's do some example problems. All right, which statement is true? Okay, the product of 7/8 and 3/4 is less than 3/4. Well, if you go back to your notes, it says when multiplying two numbers that are both less than 1 whole, the answer is smaller than both. So that is true. So that could be true. Let's put a check mark. Now the product of 1 2/3 and 8/9 is less than 8/9. Well, if I'm multiplying a number that is greater than 1 whole and less than a whole, that means it's going to be in between them. So that is not true. The product of 5/3, remember that's an improper fraction that's greater than 1, and 2/7, that's a proper fraction, is less than 2/7. So that should be in between them. So that's not true. The product of 4/5 and 6/7 is greater than 4/5. So that should be less than. So our correct answer is A. Good job. All right, let's go to the next one. Which of the following statements is true? 30 times 4/3 is greater than 30. Well, remember 4/3 is an improper fraction, so that means it's greater than a whole. So it's saying that it's greater than 30. So that one should be true. Okay, let's look at B. 12 times 3/5 is greater than 12. Well, this is a proper fraction, so it would make it less than. So that's going to be false. 15 times 6/5 is less than 15. Well, that should be greater than, because 6/5 is a greater than a whole because it's an improper fraction. So that would be false. Then we have 18 times 7/6. Oh, look again, we have it greater than a whole because it's improper. So that is false. So our correct answer is A again. Good job, Richland Rams. Now the next one, if 45 is multiplied by M, which value of M will give a product less than 45? So if I have 45 times M, which value of M will give me a product less than 45? So if you write that out, that will definitely help. So I'm looking for a fraction. Remember, it has to be a proper fraction. It has to be less than a whole. So I'm looking at A, That's an improper fraction, so that's greater than a whole. C is also an improper fraction, which is greater than 1 whole. And D is also an improper fraction. So that leaves me with B. B is a proper fraction, which is less than 1 whole. Good job, Richland Rams. All right, the next one too. Which expression has a value greater than 3/4? So that means, as I'm looking at this, I'm going to be taking 3/4, multiplying it by some number, having a value that's greater than 3/4. So that means I'm going to be multiplying it by a improper fraction. So that's greater than a whole. So if I look at A, it's multiplying it by a proper fraction. If I look at C, that also has a proper fraction, and D does too. The only one that has an improper where it's greater than 1 whole is B. Good job. Remember, improper fraction is greater than 1. All right, now on your summary, what I would say on your summary, and you can put anything to summarize this lesson, is to pay attention to the fractions that are greater than 1 whole and less than 1 whole. And make sure you know the difference. All right, Richland Rams, we will practice this in class and have a great day.